Who are Sandrone's best teammates and who is she just not compatible with? Well, let's start off with her best team. That team being Yae Miko. Dude, I thought she sucked. Escoffier? Okay, that makes sense. But what the fuck is Nicole doing here, bruh? Shouldn't there be a Cryo or Electro character here, perchance? Okay, trust me, even though these teammate options seem fucking diabolical, this team will truly be Sandrone's best team because Yae Miko, strictly at C1 by the way, so you better fucking choose her for your free constellation, will be able to provide a massive stellar conduct damage bonus that'll pretty much cement her as the best support for Sandrone, because to Sandrone herself, characters that are able to provide stellar conduct damage bonuses are like Columbina, aka they're hot as fuck to her, and you'll see that later on in the video. But even though a C1 Yae Miko is a really good teammate for Sandrone because of the stellar conduct damage bonus that she provides, if she isn't at C1, well then she won't be able to provide that stellar conduct damage bonus, and she'll only be a good pick for Sandrone rather than her definitive best pick. Still, even at C0, Yae Miko will most definitely not be the last to get picked out of the group because she'll be able to do decent sub DPS that is considered stellar conduct damage, and she'll be able to do a shit ton of rapid fire hits that'll be helpful for maximizing the cryo and electro damage bonus that the stellar conduct reaction itself provides to the entire team. Now, Sandrone's best team will also have the best chef in all of Fontaine. Fuck it, in all of Teyvat. Double fuck it, in all of reality. Move aside Gordon Ramsay, because Escoffier will be the best cryo character for Sandrone. This will be because Escoffier can reduce the enemy's cryo res by 15%, which doesn't sound like a lot because it really isn't, but it is a respectable and humble amount coming from, of course, a respectable and humble chef. And she can also do a shit ton of sub DPS, and I mean a shit ton. Like, that's pretty much the only reason she's the best cryo support, bruh. Cause yeah, she can also do a decent amount of heals that can sustain you a bit, but nobody gives a shit about that. 90% of her value comes from doing a shit ton of top tier sub DPS. Now, Sandrone's best team will also have, hold up, zoom in a bit. Okay, now enhance. Wait a fucking minute, am I seeing this right? Nicole? How the fuck? Okay, I already know what some of you are thinking. Who the fuck invited Nicole, dog? She's not even built for stellar conduct. Get her the fuck out of here. But you'd be surprised to find out how valuable she is in a Sandrone team. You see, even though Nicole doesn't provide any of that precious, sacred stellar conduct damage bonus, she does provide a shit ton of attack that'll be really good for Sandrone's damage. And she can also provide that attack to every single one of your teammates, regardless of whether they're on the field or not, which is going to be really good if you're using Yae Miko and Escoffier, who will be able to do really good sub DPS while being off field. Now, that's pretty much the only thing that's really valuable about her, but she also provides some other decent benefits, like her somewhat sturdy shields that'll be good for Sandrone because she does the majority of her damage through charge attacks that can easily be interrupted without a shield. Anyways, as you can see from the team on screen, Sandrone is gonna want one Cryo, aka Escoffier, one Electro, aka C1 Yae Miko, and then a flex slot unit, preferably Nicole. So with that being said, who is the best alternative for the Cryo character? Well, in my opinion, the unanimously agreed upon worst 5-star in the game, Qiqi, will definitely be the best alternative to Escoffier. Qiqi has made a generational comeback from being the worst 50-50 loss you could get to being one of the best Cryo alternatives for a queen as bad as Sandrone. This is because, again, characters that provide stellar conduct damage bonuses are going to be insanely good with Sandrone, and because of Qiqi's new Stella buffs, she'll be able to provide a very similar buff to a C1 Yae Miko. She'll be able to provide a 50% stellar conduct damage bonus that'll turn Sandrone into an absolute juggernaut. Not her robot though, that bitch will continue to be a random ass clanker who took away our beloved Bologna. Anyways, Other than the really good stellar conduct damage bonus that Qiqi can provide, she can also provide a good amount of energy for Sandrone through her coordinated attacks, so she can also act as a Cryo AA battery for the team. Now, other than Qiqi, Diona at C6, so RIP to you if you haven't gotten multiple copies of her, is going to be the best alternative to Escoffier. That's right, the second best alternative to the dead lolly is the alcoholic lolly, because this lolly is able to provide a slightly less potent stellar conduct damage bonus like Yae Miko and Qiqi. So like I've been saying, because she can provide the stellar conduct damage bonus, she's already a top tier alternative in a Sandrone team. But remember, at C6, she also provides a hefty elemental mastery bonus that'll be really good for stellar conduct damage because stellar conduct damage scales on elemental mastery. Not only that, but she's also a pretty good sustainer considering she can give you a cute ass cat shield and she can do some decent healing with her circle impact ultimate. Now, other than Diona at C6, Qiqi and Escoffier, every other cryo character is high-key useless with Sandrone. This is because a cryo character is going to be straight up ass if they don't provide attack, EM, reshred, or a stellar conduct damage bonus. And because Diona, Qiqi, and Escoffier are the only ones who can provide those benefits, that means that they're the only cryo teammates that are going to be viable for Sandrone. Now, for viable Electro Alternatives to a C1 Yae Miko, we're gonna have a C6 Beidou. Beidou at C6, motherfucker. Yes, I know it's frustrating that the stellar conduct meta is locked behind fucking constellations, but if you want a viable alternative to a C1 Yae Miko, well then you're gonna want Beidou at C6, because at C6, Beidou is able to shred the enemy's cryo and electro res by 15%. Now, similarly to Escoffier's reshred, this reshred may not sound that valuable, but in comparison to what all the other Electro Alternatives provide, this is literally the best thing any one of them provides by a mile. So that should tell you how dogshit Electro Alternatives to Yae Miko are. Also, I hereby proclaim the fucking obvious: Electro characters that can't consistently apply Electro aren't going to be viable Electro characters for Sandrone. So even though characters like Ayansan or Kujosara, aka Electro supports that provide attack, would seem like obvious alternatives to a C1 Yae Miko, because they can't consistently apply Electro, they won't be viable as Electro characters. They'll only be good as flex slots. Anyways, because of that, the only other viable Electro characters will be ranked like this. Official, I say, will be the best because she provides a good amount of attack when paired with another Hexarray character like Nicole, and she just does a shit ton of sub DPS damage. Then Inefa would also be good because her ultimate provides EM and she provides a shield. Then Raiden and Qiqi would be relatively decent since they can just use the instructor set or the tenacity set to provide EM or attack. Then Auroron and Dory would be fucking dog shits, but they will be able to apply some Electro and maybe use the Noblesse sets if nobody else on the team is using it. Anyways, those are all the viable Cryo and Electro options. Now for the flex slot alternatives to Nicole, honestly you can use any of the Cryo or Electro alternatives I've mentioned, but low-key, your standard attack supporter like Ayansan, Kujosara, or Bennett would all be really good too. Same can be said about most reshredders. Characters like Cylonin, Sucrose, Kazuha, or pretty much any other Anemo character that can use the Venereer sets will be top tier alternatives to Nicole. Now, in my opinion, Qiqi and Diona would be way better flex slot alternatives for Nicole than any other Electro alternatives or attack supporters or reshredders. Anyways, those should be all the viable teammate options for Sandrone. So, goodbye.